sec to boot up here. All right, Corey. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for doing this. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. I'm super stoked. Let's let everybody know who you are and what you do, buddy.
All right. So I am Corey. I am the solo artist for the horror-themed melodic death metal, I guess is what you'd call it, project Valkyrie A.D. Something I've been really wanting to get going for quite some time now, and for one reason or another, just have had a hard time finding people that really want to join in on it. So just a couple years ago, started going the solo route, and yeah, here I am.
Hell yeah, buddy. Like we were talking about before we went live, sometimes the solo route's better because you don't have to deal with all the personalities that only want to be a part of it when it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
What's...
Yeah,
Yep, go.
Well, and it's nice, I think, just, through the recording process, probably more than anything, it's, if I have an idea or if I'm just ready to put something down, I just come in here to my little home studio and just do it. I don't have to call people up and try to get people over when they can. And, my goal for the project has always been to be a band, and I think that's more probably from the live show aspect of it. I think, for me, playing with like a backing track of drums would be pretty lame. But as far as the creative process goes, it's been pretty nice to just kind of be on my own.
Hell yeah, man! I bet. What's your favorite part about being in the solo project? Like, you tracking guitars, tune vocals. Like, what are you primarily as an instrumentalist?
I consider myself a rhythm guitar player. As far as like solos and leads go, I'm not a real technical player. I leave all that stuff to the professionals. I just, stick to the real percussive playing is kind of what I prefer to think of myself. And, even with vocals, I don't, everything I do is screaming. And I don't know that I necessarily have the best scream. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, well, if someone's got to do it, I might as well. So
I'm not rolling my eyes at you. I apologize.
No. But yeah, to answer the question, I guess simply, I would say rhythm guitar primarily is what
nice. What are your influences?
So what originally got me really into music, aside from just the horror genre, was really punk. It's kind of what I cut my teeth on. So obviously the Misfits, and then moving on into more of.
I got a whole wall of Misfits in front of me, man.
Yeah. Moving on to what I'm more influenced by now, I think really early In Flames, the real melodic stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. That's deadly, like Clayman.
Yeah. The Black Dahlia Murder is a huge influence, and I think for the music side as well as the lyrics side, Trevor from Black Dahlia, he's probably my favorite lyricist.
He's just an all-around great frontman.
Yeah, for sure. But I like to have the idea of every song being like a narrative almost, and especially with horror, kind of pretending that it's kind of writing like a serial comic or something, so to speak. So,
oh hell yeah,
get a lot of influence from him because of that. And then of course, classic stuff like everybody, Metallica was what really got me into metal, but also dig a lot of like Skeleton Witch, that real melodic thrash stuff. And and that kind of speaks to the idea of always wanting a band, because when I write stuff, it always kind of has that second guitar there, that kind of harmony piece.
I really wish not to be in a room by myself.
Just go play in your room right now, sweetheart. Dad's recording an interview, okay?
Okay.
I love you.
Where's my tablet?
I find your tablet. Just one sec, buddy. I have a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Where is your tablet, sweetheart?
Maybe in the bed.
Maybe it's in your bedroom where you left it.
No.
I love you.
Love you too.
Sorry, buddy. Keep going.
I have a 2-year-old. He'll probably kick down the door here before we're
Perfect.
done. So yeah, no worries.
Honestly, it's free reign of the house. She has it. She's my pride and
Yeah.
joy. So I'm not. That's my life.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it.
But yeah, carry on. Influences.
Really, just I don't know. Green Day was actually a really big band for me in the beginning. Oddly enough, but I think that kind of, like I was talking about, that percussive, heavy rhythm guitar playing really comes from that. Just a lot of that. There's really not too much flashiness in it. At least I
Something
don't
raw.
think. Yeah, yeah. Just real melodic when it needs to be, heavy when it needs to be. But yeah. And then like I said too, horror is probably the biggest influence overall. Kind of have that with some of the stuff I'm working on. Have a little bit of that Rob Zombie vibe where you use a lot of like sound bites and stuff.
Nice.
No-
A little
nothing-
bit industrial almost,
Kind of, yeah.
but not like quite Ministry or KMFDM industrial.
Yeah, no, nothing
Just
too
raw.
chuggy or yeah.
Just raw. I like that. I can respect that. Now, being from New York, where you are in New York, does your environment have any tie to your influences on music and the way that you sound?
So I live in New York. I'm actually originally from a really small town.
Okay, go play, sweetheart. I love you. Dad's trying to record an interview. I'm glad that they fit you. We just went shopping for her birthday.
Oh, cool. Hey, happy birthday.
My friend says happy birthday, sweetheart. She says thank you.
Very cool.
So yeah, live in New York. I apologize again.
No worries. Yeah, I live in New York, but I'm originally from a really small town in Texas. That was where I grew up. I moved to New York about 4 years ago.
Did you move to New York yourself?
So this is where my wife is originally from.
Oh.
So yeah, we came to this area to be closer to her family. But so when I grew up, I lived in like a really small, ultra conservative town, and like metal just didn't exist. There was no such thing as a metal genre. So some of the stuff that I found, and this was back, probably to date myself, this was back where I would discover bands from getting like a Rockabilia magazine, like shirts, and I'd be like, oh, that's a cool looking shirt. So I'd have to try to look them up, and that's how I found stuff. And the Black Dahlia Murder was one of the first bands that I found that I just kind of was gravitated towards wanting something heavier than what was available, which for that area the heaviest thing was like whatever's on the radio, basically.
Yeah, and it's usually country music.
Yeah, most times.
Or classic rock.
So yeah, I just kind of found things out of boredom. So I guess maybe where I was from was an influence in that sense, but I was really listening to things that no one else was, and that's not to try to sound cool or hipster or whatever. I would try to show my friends like, hey, here's this new band, and
Just
they would
trying to branch out, not trying to fucking be the best. You're just trying to be new.
Right. And it usually didn't hit too well with most of the other people, but hey, I wasn't really doing it for them, so.
I can relate, man. I was the only punk rocker in a small town.
Yeah.
Well, me and my buddy Jimmy, and now Jimmy's kind of crazy, but he's still around.
Yeah.
But same thing. Moved to the city to get away. I didn't really move to the city for a relationship, so not really the same thing. How long have you been married for?
Oh man, put me on the spot. I got married in 2016.
Okay, cool. That's kind of not really putting you on the spot. You should know when you got married, my son.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, to ask like, I know the date, but to ask how long, it's like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, okay.
Count up the years. Think I'd know.
I feel ya. Where did you get married?
So we met in Texas, and then we got married in Pennsylvania, and then live in New York.
Man, I'm really into like esoteric history and stuff, and American history just blows my mind. So when you say when you say the names of cities like that, I just get flashes in my head of crazy documentaries I've watched about the founding fathers, and it's like,
Yeah.
man, I want to go there so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So the area that we got married in is it's about 2 hours south of here. It's just on a lake in the middle of nowhere. But where I'm from, it's about a 24-hour drive straight from
Texas.
here to from there. Yeah.
Wild, wild. Does your wife play music too?
Not really. She'll sing along with the radio, but this
Not a
death
musician
metal.
like you are.
Yeah, the death metal garbage certainly isn't her thing, but I'm pretty well used to that.
Yeah, I know that feeling as well. Except for my girlfriend, she laughs at me because she listens to like. I listen to a little bit of everything. So some days you'll catch me listening to like hard style techno, and some days you'll catch me listening to like 60s acoustic hippie music, and then
Yeah.
some days you'll just catch me listening for 12 hours straight hardcore punk rock, man.
Yeah.
But she listens to like death metal and thrash nonstop.
Yeah.
So she just puts it right on me. And she used to play bass in a band. I used to do vocals in a band. So we kind of got that dynamic going.
That's
But
cool.
how old are you?
30.
Really, eh? So you got married young.
Yeah, I guess so. 25.
I guess it just works that way, hey? Some people, different cultures. It's weird, right? Come
Yeah.
from different...
Well, I mean, being where I'm from, small town in the South, I guess technically I was old to get married. A lot of kids that I went to school with got married straight out of high school. So
Really?
yeah,
Wild.
I don't think it really worked out for them, but
Well,
that's kind of the thing down there.
like, and just do as you're told and not what you learn, right?
Right, exactly.
Wow, man. Hey, I'm glad that it's working out for you, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll keep her around.
I'm definitely in very, very high consideration of marrying the one that I'm with. But it's not pushed the way it is, because my parents were more happy after their marriage was over.
Yeah.
And we all me and my brother and sister, we had to live through that tumultuous time. And they split up when I turned 18. So, yeah, it's weird how different things are from not just country to country, but town to town, right? Like small, because we're
for sure.
small town too. I'm from Alberta, so that's Texas to the north.
Oh, okay.
We even got a little bit more crazier people here than Texas. I haven't seen the far right radicalism in Texas that I have here. Not lately, at least.
Really?
I might not be looking in the right places, though. I'm pretty good at ignoring things that I don't
Yeah.
have a horse in, right?
Yeah, no, it gets pretty radical down there, but
I've never been there, so I'm going to withdraw what I just said, actually.
fair enough.
But on to the music. Now, I saw you post a song on your Instagram.
Yeah.
How's that one coming along? When are you releasing that? Is that a part of an album, a bigger release?
So that one, the next release, it's actually just going to be a single because the song itself clocks in right at 12 minutes flat, and so I don't feel like it really needs to have anything else,
Nice.
to kind of accompany it. But that one, I'm mixing and mastering it now, so I hope to have it out probably in a month or so. This one, so in the past I've used some other people to kind of help record in some of the mixing and mastering, and this one I'm really trying to do just start to finish all of it myself. And I found that that's really difficult to know, like, when I'll ever feel like it's done. So I may just have to reach a point where I just say, okay, no more. I'm just going to put it out. So if that's the case, then I hope it'll be a month that I'm not just listening to it over and over again.
I have some friends that would very, very rightfully agree with you. It's hard to stop and decide when it's done.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe if I just tweak this one more time, and then you shut it down for the night, you go back the next day and you're like, oh my, what did I do? I destroyed this whole thing.
I've done that a couple times already, where it's like I just will sit here for 3-4 hours, and it's like, what did I do? What should I have saved any of that? Like, it's tough. It's tough.
That might be one of the upsides of having bandmates. because
Yeah, something to bounce something off of.
you're right. Somebody to say like, "Hey, man, what do you think of this?" But then if
Yeah.
they say something like totally outright ridiculous, you're just like, "Why would you even say that? That has nothing to do with recording. Like, come on."
Yeah.
I used to be
Yeah.
that guy. I used to say random stuff about recording, thinking I was smart, and my friends would just pat me on the back and be like, "Oh, Nate, we agree."
Go sit down.
Take this microphone and go yell into it for us until we tell you to stop. That's how it went. Shout out to
Yeah.
Nathaniel, Nate Bonnet, Octave Studios. Love you, buddy. He's usually my producer on episodes, but he's working right now, and I feel that I am fully capable of doing this. I think it's going well. The upgraded internet seems to be working for the stream, and the sound works good. So we're good, buddy. We're good.
That's good. That's good. I kind of think that, given everything with COVID, I feel like that this is probably going to be the way that all bands kind of do their interviews now.
Well, until there's a reason more that makes it more of an interview to be have it done in person, yes, completely. Until there's
Yeah.
a reason for them that makes it more exciting and not more dangerous, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because what I'm planning on when people are more comfortable is I'm planning on getting a studio space the same way that a band would rent a jam space, so that I can set up a studio there and have people come in for interviews and do the personal interaction thing, right? Like a regular podcast does. But I'm not pressuring anybody to do anything outside their comfort zones.
Yeah.
I'm fully capable of doing it this way and keeping on doing it this way until shit changes,
So how big is the scene where you are as far as just music in general?
Well, Calgary, we have Alberta. Okay, so Canada's a lot different than the States because the time it takes to drive from one of our major cities to another is 4 hours of just drive time. So we don't really have the smaller spots to fill up those shows. We got
Right.
maybe, like, you could go Calgary to Red Deer, which is about 2.5 hours, and then you got shows there. And then you might be able to hit a small town in between, but if you're not the right kind of music, they're not going to play you. They don't trust the fucking people who play the rowdy music. They're conservative small towns. But the scene, when the shows are around, the scene is still strong. There's still bands out here making, creating, releasing. There's bands that do the tours. Calgary does seem to be Vancouver is the major tour stop for the bigger bands. So that's probably, I'm going to
Way
say,
out west, right?
yeah, that's coast, right? You got to drive through the next province to the edge of it. And then Vancouver is also, I don't want to say cliquey, but it's not, you can't get the same out of Vancouver as just an everyday band trying to book a show. You got to put work in there to get access to that scene. So,
Okay.
Calgary is a good starting point. My band started in Calgary back in fucking 2010. And then we finished we started 2009 and we finished 2017, 2018. We released our last and played our last shows. But we were able to start just off of a MySpace page and get shows and play shows. And we lived in a small town. Our nearest city is the city I live in now, and that was roughly an hour away. We played shows every weekend for like 10 years. So if you're willing to do it and willing to do the planning and the logistics, you can survive out here as a band, but get to the advice tip for everybody is get to the States and try and get plugged into the States, or at least get out east to Toronto or west to Vancouver. The hubs, those are central hubs where the bigger bands are going to get to, right? But it's still livable. There's still a thriving scene out here.
Well, that's good. I feel like the area that I live in, prior to COVID, the scene was just cover bands, and that's just because all the venues here were bars, and a bar doesn't want to bring in someone, doing original music, screaming about spooky stuff. They want
That's
something
right.
that the patrons can dance to. So
And this is a good thing about Calgary, is Calgary has bars for all of it. Not right now because of COVID, but my aunt runs a blues bar for old blues and
that's-
rock and roll.
that's cool.
Dickens, ran by my friend Chris Hewitt, he's been going crazy on Twitch because he refuses to open his bar up and put any of his patrons at risk. So he opened up once when stuff started to lighten up, and then he closed down again, and that was it. He hasn't opened up again. The bars have been opening and closing nonstop, and it's just been crazy up here for that. But we got metal, we got punk, we got rappers too. We got a good EDM scene. I've been talking to a guy up in Edmonton. Shout out DJ Crunchberry and Heart Attack Music. They're doing streams and online DJ shows. And then obviously because Calgary it's country music here, but that sticks to the Music Mile. We don't have every bar picking one side.
That's good.
So there's places for everybody to play. Shout out to Verns as well. Verns, Dickens, The Blind Beggar. There was also the Stetson before this all happened. There was back when I was playing, there was places like Lord Nelson's. Like we could play a show and then go down the street and play another show if we wanted to. But it was fucking exhausting to do that. And I couldn't handle my liquor that well.
I'm sure.
We did it once and I almost died.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have bands before all this happened? Did you have any bands that you were like playing with that you were friends with?
I mean, I've been in some like just like jam kind of bands. Nothing really ever serious, you know. I was in a band for a while, like back when I was in high school. They were like Christian screamo, which, you know, it wasn't like something that I really wanted to do. I just wanted to play with people, so I was like, sure, I'll come play guitar.
I know that feeling.
At your youth group.
That's how I started, was in church bands, man, when I was 9 years old.
Yeah. You know, for a while, so I put out the first Valkyrie A.D. release, Tales from the Wicked, in March of 2019, and started posting that on some of the local boards, and I ended up finding a second guitarist that I was playing with for some time, and you know, he and I were putting together a really good momentum and had a pretty good vibe, and you know, we were kind of leaning towards the route of maybe going kind of that black metal route, where if it came down to it, or if we just had to play a show, he and I, you know, like I said, with the backing track, it wouldn't be the best show maybe, but
you could do it. I've seen it done a lot of times. I've seen shows without bassists. I've been in a band without a drummer where we just used a fucking Casio keyboard.
Yeah. And I think, you know, the horror kind of side of that I like would really kind of help kind of build the theatrics. But, you know, I felt like, you know, he and I kind of had something good going, and then obviously 2020 happened and the world ended, and so that was when, you know, he and I really haven't gotten back together since. So then in August last year was when I put out the second release, Vile, and that was just to kind of, you know, keep some bit of relevancy, and just trying to find people now. I don't know if it's tough, you know, how people feel about kind of joining something that's established but not really established, you know, if that makes sense. Like,
it all depends on how you put yourself out there, because if you put yourself out, this is my opinion, of course, but I feel if you put yourself out there as like a Devin Townsend type, you know who Devin Townsend is, right?
Yeah.
Totally, like, this is my fucking project. If you're coming in on it, it's my rules. You might as well not even try and bring any guitar riffs in, because I already got them for you. I just want you to stand there and do what I tell you. Like, if you approach it like that, then of course nobody's gonna fucking touch you.
Yeah.
But if you say one-man project looking to branch out into more, then you're gonna get hit. So you just gotta put it out.
Yeah. No, I think that's true, and you know, I've met a couple drummers. You know, we were jamming with one for a time, and you know, I even told him the same thing. It's like, hey, this is the drum parts that's on the EPs, but I'm not a drummer, so, you know, don't think that that's what's in stone, you know, and going forward, that's kind of what my, you know, preference would be. But I don't know if it's just kind of the area, you know, if the people here aren't into more the death metal-y stuff, but I don't know.
Well, you can also reach out, like, this is where Facebook is, where the social medias, all of them are a good tool.
Yeah.
Because then you can start looking at pages of other people who are doing one-man projects or other people who are even creating music, and then you just start networking off of that, right? Because if you're going to nail yourself down into just your area, your local area, then you're already limiting yourself, right?
Yeah.
But you just got to keep throwing the music out there and keep saying, hey, if you're interested, here we have this website called Kijiji. It's like Craigslist.
Okay.
And a lot of people put ads up there. A lot of people do even Facebook fucking marketplace ads. But one of the best things that we found was joining a group. Canadian Metal is one of the ones up here. Metal in Central Alberta is one of the ones up here. People put ads in there looking for band members all the time, right? So you got to find a local group, New York Metal, right? I actually might even be in a New York Metal and hardcore group that I posted the podcast in.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I'm very archaic with social media. I feel like I kind of recognized a couple years ago when I saw the explosion of social media that I knew that it's going to be very difficult to ever try to become proficient in one before it just becomes replaced. So I have Instagram where I post pictures every now and then, but my social media presence is pathetic. But
right?
Also nobody wants to see any more pictures of me in my bedroom studio. So until I have something else to post, I'm not gonna really post anything.
But that's not for. This is what I had to get past. It's not for you to decide the content that your people want. It's just up to you to pump out what they're there for, right? Think of it that way. Because I was the same way. I was like, I don't fucking. What am I supposed to post? A picture of your face talking about what you're doing, right? A picture of your guitar, just a random picture with some fucking crazy effects on it to pull people towards it, right?
Yeah.
Updates, Clickbait, that's right. You got to play the game to win the prize, in a sense.
Yeah, no, that's yeah.
It sucks. It fucking sucks.
I'm just an old man.
I agree with you, buddy. I agree with you. I'm on that same page. But I look at the things that I've gained because I took advantage of the little bit I knew about social media, and it's been more than it has been less. I've gained more out of it than I have lost in time spent on it.
Okay.
So it's been It's been more of a helpful tool than it has been a hindrance in anything else. Sometimes I spend too much fucking time on it and argue with idiots, but that's because
there's plenty of that.
I might be an idiot myself, Corey. That might be the problem entirely.
Step one is admitting.
It might all be my fucking fault. No, that's not true.
Possible.
Social media is a fickle mistress, but you just got to learn which works best on what, right? Because I'm trying to promote the YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel now, which I'm trying to promote. And all of this goes to providing a stronger platform on which to promote bands and artists. Oh, my buddy Chris jumped in the chat. Hey, Chris, how you doing, buddy? I hope you're doing good today. Chris is from another podcast called Cowan McCart Podcast Experience. You maybe should send him a message. This is another reason why Facebook is good. Because you could send him a message on Facebook and he would have you on his podcast next week.
Chris, are you listening?
Right? So, my advice to you is develop a fucking Facebook presence just so you can access the people that are on Facebook.
Yeah.
Even if you don't use it to connect to your fucking old friends and family from back in Texas, whatever, it's still an amazing tool for developing networks on which to create music and release music. Because that's how I'm doing the podcast right now. That's how I did my band all those years ago, back in the fucking ancient times. You got to use the tools. You got to use the tools, man, and you got good shit, so it's got to get out there.
Well, thanks, man. That's good to hear. So, yeah, I guess I'm sold. Do it as soon as we're done.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Facebook
because
sign up.
Once you sit, then you can add me on Facebook, Nate Trash, and I will help send your stuff out through the Facebook world.
Right on. Very cool.
Because Instagram is really good, but Instagram, unless you're an influencer, Instagram is really limiting.
Yeah. Well, and especially for like, as far as musicians, as far as guitar players, like they go for the flashier stuff, and like we talked about being a rhythm player, like, oh wow, he's playing Seek and Destroy. That's so is 2 billion other people. But if I was doing some like tapping and sweeping and stuff, that's usually kind of what gets the likes. Is
If you're doing you and entirely you all the time, that's what gets the likes and finds the following. As long as you maintain what you feel is right, don't think about what other people are going to think, because then you get caught in this loop, and you get caught in this speculation, fucking infinity circle, where you're just speculating on speculation on speculation, when really you should just be focusing on what makes your music, getting that recorded, getting it polished, and then releasing that, and not even giving a shit about what anybody else might think. There's no reason for you to give a shit about what anybody else thinks unless you're doing something that attacks them, but I don't see why you would do that. And if they try to say that, that's their fucking problem. They can back off.
I should be writing this down.
But you find the way to find the following is to put out the content. And the only way to put out your content is to do your stuff, record your stuff, write your stuff. Don't think about what other people have to say. Don't even think about what I have to say. Take the bits and pieces that help you create what comes from inside you, what made you start doing this anyway. The fucking small town guy from conservative Texas playing fucking death metal, right?
Yeah.
Stick with that. That is what people want to fucking hear.
All right.
Stick
with
what you got fucking going on, and take it right to the fucking max. And don't let anything or anybody fucking stop you, because that's what's going to make you happy in the end, is knowing that you don't have any fucking what ifs.
Yeah, but that's still kind of the, that's the hard part, the hard balance of social media is like, okay, so post yourself and post what you're doing, and
you don't have to do that.
I'm doing this week is what I was doing last week. You
got to think of social media as an advertising platform.
Right.
So you need to think, I need to have a post every week talking about what I'm doing that's new. Now, if you're not doing something new every week, then you should be doing something new every week, or else you're not progressing, period.
That's true.
So you need to think about the small details of what you're doing. This week I was mixing and mastering. This week I'm tracking. This is how I track. This is what I'm using to track right now. Here's my programs. Next week I'm going to be writing bass lines or writing new guitar lines. Tune in next week. I'll show you a run through of what I do for that. You have, obviously you're interested in what you do. So put that out there, because that's all a part of it. You already put out the music for me to find you.
Yeah, that's true.
So put out more of that. Put out more of, like, look at what other people are putting out for themselves, and then do that too. It sounds a little bit like hokey pokey, but if you want to promote yourself, you got to promote yourself. That's what it all boils down to. You got to get yourself out there for people to see and hear. Well,
and I think kind of talking about putting out music, for me, like, as much as I talk about wanting to do kind of like the theatrical stuff with horror and having, like a big stage presence and videos and this, that, and the other thing, the foundation has to be the song. And so, for me, it's important to try to write and put out what I think is good music.
Exactly.
And so, and I think with the solo artist kind of perspective of it, and it's probably just the way that the world is now, but my plans are to kind of keep up doing every 6 to 8 months kind of a periodic
there you go,
micro releases, basically, like just keep doing demos. So my
That's
plan
awesome.
is to put out this next single, like I said, hopefully the next month, which should be like June or so, or May, and then I already have like another 4 songs pretty much ready to go and just start recording again.
So now you can create the content that comes from recording those songs, like what gear you use to record, what programs you're using to do it, those little snippets of the song playing, right? What do you use for your electric drums? Like, there's gearheads out there that eat that stuff up, that love that stuff.
And what I really want to get into next is video. I'm working on just like a real simple, like lyrics video right now.
Oh, nice! That stuff's great.
Yeah, but I've actually been talking with a little bit with an actual like independent like underground horror production company out of Buffalo.
Sweet.
which are like 3 hours from where I am, and actually try to do some like actual like thematic videos.
This is
because I just feel like that's better promotional content than just here's a picture of my guitar with new strings.
It is. You're totally right. It is. But you need to have a platform on which to release that content. It's still still
that's
content.
True.
It's
That's
still
true.
your content, and you still need to develop a platform to release it. So for me on Facebook, as Nate Trash, I only talk about the podcast.
Right.
I post a picture of me and my child every now and again, but I do have friends on there because I developed those friends in the scene. I created those friends through networking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now when I release stuff, they see it and they share it, and they see all my releases and I see theirs. We share it, and it gets more exposure to us in a time where we can't go out and, pardon the suggestive language, expose ourselves.
Right.
It's all a part of the game, man. It's all a part of the game. And if you want to do it, you'll do it. You'll do it.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. I saw your stuff because you put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
So if you have other platforms, and you're doing the same thing, like, you don't got to talk about your personal life. I can get you plugged into some of my networks, and you can add up some of my friends. This podcast will help with that as well. That's what it's all about, is getting your reach out there so you can add some people who like this stuff too.
Yeah.
And then they'll like your stuff. They'll share your stuff. You can get a hold of their stuff. You could even message them and say, hey, man, check this out. You want to throw some guitar tracks on it? A lot of my buddies have their own home studios. Record you up a guitar track, send it out, no problem, just because they like your stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think it would be beneficial to get in with the right scenes, because I feel like, talking about that promotion of other people, the local scene here of some of the bands that I've talked to, it feels like small bands are almost afraid to promote other small bands because they think maybe
it'll take away from their own promotion.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And,
that's a backwards thought. That's they don't realize that's what's killing them.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's very silly because,
they think they'll take the spotlight and then they won't have anything for themselves. What if this band's better than me?
Exactly. But as you continue to be hesitant towards supporting the up and coming new guy, then there's going to be no more up and coming new guys.
And then you're not going to have anybody to open for you.
Right. And that includes yourself. So
yeah.
But for me, every band that I've ever listened to, it's because of another band.
Hell yeah, buddy! You belong in our scene up here, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
I'll start commuting.
Get on the 10-speed, buddy.
Yeah, right. A couple days.
Fucking rights, man. That's what it's like. I know a couple bands in New York. There's one called Insurgency. There's one called Winter Nights. But once again, I found those bands because I went out. I fucking went looking. Right. I started trolling groups. I started scrolling Instagram. I was looking at the emails the publicists send me, digging it out. Been doing this since I was 18, and I honestly don't know what I'd do with myself if I stopped.
Yeah.
It's a driving force.
No, that's very true. I picked up my first instrument was a bass. I started playing when I was 14, and now it's like I don't know what I was doing with my time 14 years before that, because now all my free time is thinking of a song.
Right? That's awesome, man. That's fucking killer. Now you just got to branch it out.
Yeah.
all in time, man. all you can do is just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing stuff like this. Podcasts, be open to fucking broadcast that shit, man, because it's good. What kind of guitar you got?
So my main guitar is it's by the brand Agile. It's called a Ghost.
Can you make some lunch?
I will make some lunch right after I'm done, sweetheart. Another 20 minutes, okay?
I'm hungry.
Grab your chippies out of the bag. There you go, sweetheart.
I'm hungry too. Don't worry.
That's all right, buddy. Another 20 minutes, and then we can wrap her up. So yeah, your guitar, Agile.
Yeah. So my main guitar, it's an Agile Ghost.
Is it 8-string?
It's a 6-string.
Okay. Agile makes 8 strings, right?
Yeah, no, they've really transitioned into the 8-string game, but so I'm left-handed. You know, I was born backwards, but I'm a huge James Hetfield fan, so I wanted something that looks like an Explorer, and so that's the second guitar I ever owned, and that's the one I still play now.
Yeah. Hold on a second, buddy. Here, Mom.
I can find it in the bag.
Right here, baby. Here. Oh, parenthood. What a beautiful thing.
It's all good, man.
So
It happens all the time.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I love it. I love it. The alternative is not having her, and I just can't have that.
Right.
So yeah, carry on, buddy. We're good now. We're clear.
Yeah, so that's my main guitar. It's just, you know, kind of an Explorer knockoff, but
I love the
also
Explorer
have
body shape.
yeah, it's brutal looking without being too pointy. I don't know if I'm tough enough for those, but also have an Epiphone Les Paul and an Epiphone SG. So those are both, I don't know, maybe those are more like rock and roll style guitars, but I feel like they're really good for what I do, so I make it work.
Some of the fucking hardest guys I know rock an SG.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty sure. Like, I know. Do you listen? Have you ever heard of Dayglow Abortions?
Mm-mm.
Dayglow Abortions is a hardcore punk band from Victoria, and I'm pretty sure their frontman Cretan rocks an SG from time to time.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that the frontman from Ripcords rocks an SG from time to time as well.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong, but you know, SGs they still fucking got their place. All guitars have their place, man.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite guitarists is John Five. And, you know, he primarily plays a Telecaster, which is supposed to be a country guitar.
I love Telecaster
He
is
shreds.
my body shape, man. That's my favorite. And I'm a grindcore
Yeah.
guitar player.
Yeah. I don't know. There's too many rules that we all created.
Exactly. It is really ridiculous. I find it hilarious when people try to say, because I had a friend who's collecting Ironbirds, BC Rich Ironbirds, the big sharp ones. And
Yeah. Put your eye out, kid.
she loves to laugh at people. She loves to laugh at people about it because she plays vicious music on it, and then she like makes shit posts and shit memes all day. So like she's in a band called No Hope for the Lost. They just dropped a music video on New Fury Media today.
Okay. That
Yeah.
sounds familiar.
They've been popping up all over the place lately, buddy. But yeah, I'll get you in touch with my friend Nathaniel. He's a good person to get in your network too.
Awesome. Very cool.
More friends all around, man. More friends, the better.
Probably should do that. Yeah.
Because when this is all over, we can hang out
Hell yeah, man.
and have some fucking, like, a million laughs.
Yeah, I really hope so.
And-
I can almost see it.
And cold beers, bud. I think after this is done, I'm going to start drinking beers again. Yeah, I think I think that's going to happen. Just because I fucking miss everybody.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a bummer. I was supposed to go to Texas last summer, because my older brother got married, and you know, didn't get to do any of that. Haven't seen anybody in a year and a half, and
Texas
I mean,
is open.
yeah, no, Texas. I think Texas wants you to get it, but I still just haven't gone.
Right?
You know,
Did
I
your
don't want to be
family?
the asshole that brings it back.
Was your family like, oh man, it's fake? You know, were they like one of those?
No, I was thankful that they, you know, acknowledged it, and
Respected your choices.
yeah, and they still, they themselves wear masks and try to go places only when they need to, which
It's
is
choices. It's
which is good.
choices.
It is, yeah, yeah.
It's choices. But look, we'll move away from that because that's a very polarizing topic, and this is not a very polarizing podcast. What programs do you use to record?
So I use Studio One 3 by PreSonus is my main recording, and then I use like the Fortin Nameless Suite plugins for the guitar tone, and then Easy Drummer 2 for all of the drumming, the virtual drumming, which sounds a little too virtual for my likes, but I don't think until I get a real drummer on anything, I'm always gonna know that it's a computer. But
you can get fucking effects packs for Easy Drummer too, right?
yeah, I have the newest one, Modern Metal, I think is what it's called, and it's supposed to be.
You got to go to the studio producers like Kurt Ballou. Kurt Ballou from Converge God City Studios released a drum sample pack, and we used it on our last recording before we split up, and it's fucking insane, man. It sounds good.
I know he's done a lot of stuff with like Superior Drumming, that virtual plugin, but it's just kind of what I have now. I feel like it works.
It does. From what I've heard, it works just fucking fine, man.
Ah, well, thanks.
Hell yeah, buddy. I'm looking forward to the releases.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Like I said, this next one, it's kind of a banger, especially being as long as it is. Hopefully I can keep people's attention span that long enough for...
There is always someone out there who will listen to the whole fucking song, man. I know this because I have been a part of some terrible songs in my old band, and people have I've listened to them. You've listened to your songs. There's always someone who will listen to it, man.
Right, yeah, yeah. But this one, it has a lot more of. It's got like some clean, kind of a slow build intro and a bunch of, new techniques and stuff that I've been trying. So it's a little bit different from maybe what the other two releases are, but it's still very much a Valkyrie A.D song. So I'm excited to get it out and figure out what the world thinks.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I'm excited to promote it for you too.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Fucking rights, buddy. Fucking rights. Now, what's your process for writing a song? Do you start with guitar riffs and then work everything else into it?
So, I don't know if this is like a common thing for songwriters because I've never actually really talked to one. But for me, like when I think of a song, usually it does start with the guitar. If I'm just kind of playing around and a riff kind of happens, but probably 80 to 90% of the time, whenever I play that part, I hear the entire song at the same time. Like in my head, I can hear what the bass is doing with the second guitar, the drums. I know if it's a chorus or a verse, and I can hear what the vocal pattern is doing. So, for me, some of the songs that I've written in lesser amount of time than it takes to listen to the song. Like the song off the first release, The Conjuring, like that song was written from concept to lyrics like in a Saturday afternoon.
Really?
So, yeah. So, and then that's,
I should get you in touch with my buddy Nathaniel.
Yeah?
That's very, very interesting to hear.
Yeah, so that's, obviously that
we
helps.
We do 8-hour
with the
songwriting
solo
challenges here, hey?
Yeah?
If you get on Facebook, find Interim Music, and they do 8-hour song challenges, and then at the end of the challenge, everybody watches the live stream where all of the songs are put in, and everybody networks with each other and adds each other up, man. That would be the perfect fucking thing for you.
That would be cool.
And you'd totally be allowed to enter because it's all online.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, so that's just kind of from when I started writing songs, when I was 14 up till now, that's just kind of how it's always happened for me. And I felt like the songs that don't flow that easily are the ones that I just kind of keep in the back burner, you know, because I feel like as soon as you try to force something, everybody's going to know it. So it's best to just kind of be as most of an organic process as I can, and so that's, I don't know if
No,
that's a good way.
That's a
if
good.
that's
I believe that that's a good way. I believe that that's a good way. I totally agree with you, because if you're just leaving it and keeping it with you, you might come around and it might just click for you, no problem. There's a guy in Calgary, or a kid in Calgary, that just got called the new face of hyperpop because he did that exact thing. He has like, oh, I had a song, and then I was like, this is a good melody, I should finish it. And he finished it, put it on TikTok, and that thing skyrocketed overnight. And now he's got a record deal with RCA all within a couple weeks.
it.
Just because he put it away and brought it back out when it was ready to go.
Yeah.
So, it's always good to take a break and look at things with fresh eyes. Always.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it helps too because, one of the things I've always been most worried about as a solo writer is it's always going to be one set of influences, one set of hands, one set of ears. So I want to try to keep things open enough to where it doesn't become stale. Like, the last thing I want is to put out an EP and someone say, oh, well, I know exactly who this guy listens to because he sounds like them.
Or release the same song 4 times.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, it's helped me with some of the songs. I could have a riff that's like 8 years old when I was listening to, Trivium 8 years ago. But this week I'm listening to, I don't know, Behemoth. And so then I can kind of find something to kind of bring those two, bridge that gap together, so that it's not so obvious. And a lot of that comes with what I was saying, not trying to force it, not trying to just make a song for the sake of the song being made.
Hell yeah, man. That's fucking a very, very, very professional perspective to take on it, for sure. You can't, if you try, there's no reason for you to try and force things out. You're not contractually obligated by a large publicist or record label or anything to release music on a certain time frame. So there's no reason, when you have your own studio, you have your own technology, to force out garbage content just because you feel that it's, oh man, I gotta finish.
Well, and especially too, starting out when your audience is small, you're not writing for anybody. Not that you ever should write for anybody, but I'm still ultimately putting out stuff that I want to hear.
Yeah, you always got to stick with that, because that resonates with people.
Yeah.
That realistically resonates with people, because you can't just jump onto every trend. Well, you can, but you're just gonna get used up and spit out.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
As soon as something happens that the robot that runs you doesn't like, the robot's gonna turn off your fucking game. Like,
No, for sure.
So you always gotta stay true. You always gotta fucking stay true, and you just gotta keep pumping shit out, because as long as you see value in it, somebody else will too.
Yeah, no, I certainly hope so.
I do.
Thank you, man.
Hell yeah, man! I think it's rad. Valkyrie A.D kicks ass, man.
Thanks, awesome.
Well, is there anything you wanted to say in closing here, my friend?
So if I could give just 2 quick shout-outs.
You sure fucking can, man. The floor is yours.
So the first one, and I do this every chance I get, but the first guy that I worked with recording, his name is Dwayne Williamson. He lived in this area at the time, and I used his home studio, and then he helped me with the mixing and mastering. He now lives in Portland, Oregon, but he has his own like solo thing he's trying to get out. It's called Beast Mountain.
Mountain.
The album is Cryptozoology. It's on Spotify. It's very like,
send him my way.
Gothic horror. Yeah, no, I will. It's very gothic horror, very like doomy, stonery.
Send him my way. I will
just
bring him on the cast.
Yeah, for sure. It's just an awesome album. But more importantly, as far as like the recording and the songwriting stuff, like everything I know is because of him. You know, he's just a total wealth of knowledge. So I really owe so much to him. And then second, there is like a fitness website, clothing website out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania called Death Comes Lifting.
I know all about Death Comes Lifting. I got a buddy here in Calgary named Nicky Casket. He is sponsored by them as well. He's in a band called 5 Cent Freak Show.
Yeah, 5 Cent Freak Show. Yeah, no,
He's
I
a
dig those
good
guys.
buddy of mine.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like those guys and daily distribution, all that stuff. But yeah, so Zach with Death Comes Lifting was the first guy who I, after put out Tales from the Wicked, he was the first guy that ever gave me a chance and listened to it, and he's always putting my stuff on his site. And I actually do some like horror reviews, some writing for his like Patreon stuff. So you know, he and I are always bouncing stuff off of each other back and forth. But you know, I really believe that all the exposure I have is just due to that guy. Like he stood behind Valkyrie A.D from the beginning. So
Hell yeah, man.
My message to the people listening is to check out Cryptozoology by Beast Mountain, and then check out Death Comes Lifting, and then check out Valkyrie A.D.
Hell to the yeah, buddy. Right on. Now for me, I want everybody to go check out Citizen Rage's new campaign, their new Positivity Through Community campaign, where they'll be donating to Bear Clan Patrol, Calgary Mental Health Association, and Inclusive Canada. So every couple dollars from every pre-order off of this new campaign will go to those foundations. Also, check out Dickens Pub's Twitch stream. They've always got something going on, and that's how you support Dickens right now, is through that. Also, check out No Hope for the Lost's new video on New Fury Media. Go check out local band Smokeout with BG, and just go check in on your friends, see how they're doing, say something positive to everybody, and check out Valkyrie A.D. Corey, thanks for doing this with me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It was a lot of fun.
All right, everybody. Take her easy and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Peace out.